Well, I think Rivian's a startup that's trying to ramp production of an electric sport utility vehicle and pickup truck. I think the bigger question is what are the traditional OEMs doing? I mean, just out today, I think news that GM bought a stake in a electric boat company, which means they're getting into the boat business. So I think there's a lot of different signals that might be confusing to the market at this point in time.
What do you make of those? I mean, is the argument that some of the legacy OEMs need to spin off their EV divisions, does that make sense in general?
I mean, I think it makes sense in general in the context of, Lou Gerstner Jr. Wrote a book titled "Who Says Elephants Can't Dance?" And it was his experience of transforming IBM. And one of the more interesting tidbits that's in the book is the fact when he started the PC division, he had to do that in another state so that the culture wouldn't be infected with the mini and mainstream. And so when you look at these companies, it's not that they don't have the capability. It's really gets into the culture, and spinning those out might be a way to get around that. Absent that, I think the incumbents, let's look at Uber. How many taxi drivers did Uber train to code? I think the number rounds to basically zero. So the same is happening in terms of the auto OEMs trying to move into the EV space as well.
So you were an advisor to the Obama Energy Department, Jed. I'm sure you've been following the energy transition and the moves from the Biden administration very carefully, including this new bill, which prioritizes EVs that are made by unions. How do you think that separates winners and losers and the Biden policy that we're about to see?
I don't think it does. I mean, unions and physics don't go hand in hand. However, I do think that looking at the larger and the broader energy transition and the move to electrification, there are going to be winners and losers. Here is one area that we pay special attention to in terms of the semiconductor industry. There's a company, Wolfspeed, that we follow, focused on making semiconductors more efficient by going to from silicon to silicon carbide. So I think there's going to be a lot of nuances. I think it's a great time to be an investor. There's a lot of alpha that's going to be generated. But just setting things in terms of coming back to whether it's a union, whether it's not a union, quite frankly, policies that are like that will probably destroy more value than create it.
Finally, Jed, just talk about some of your favorite names. I see it's a nice mix. You've got some Generac in there, some Plug, some fuel cell.
Yeah, I mean, we like Generac. I think that's a category killer, market leader, similar to what you're seeing with a Tesla or a Wolfspeed in their respective markets. And really, I think most people look at that, and most investors look at what they make in terms of generators. But I think the company is, quite frankly, much more. I think this is a distributed energy platform. And I think as you're seeing more Six Sigma climate events become a mainstream, that will carry the company into the distributed energy platform that they've developed. I also cover, other technologies, like you mentioned, Plug and fuel cell on the hydrogen space. Hydrogen's probably taken a step back as people start to look at the round trip energy to create that fuel. So EVs are definitely the darling in favor at this point in time.
Yeah, Generac, not quite as sexy as a Rivian, but I'll get your point. Jed, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.